Outlet Liquor is your place to buy a case. Stock up and save when you shop the lowest prices available every day at Outlet Liquor. You never have to wait for a sale. The more you buy, the more you save. Only at Outlet Liquor.
What's your outlet?
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of I'll Hang Up and Listen, brought to you by Outlet Liquor. Don't haste, go pick up a case. The more you buy, the more you save. Outlet Liquor. What's your outlet? And, of course, Amherst Ale House. Make sure you get over there for the rest of the season. Sabres games, half off. Pitchers of Blue Light, Coors, Molson, the whole 9 yards. And not to mention half off medium pepperoni pizzas. Again, for all Sabres games, get over to Amherst Ale House. Unbelievable food. And don't forget manscaped.com. Use code word TRAINWRECK, TRAINWRECK. Get you 20% off plus free shipping. That's all capital letters, TRAINWRECK, TRAINWRECK. Code word TRAINWRECK, 20% off plus free shipping. Get yourself the Lawnmower 3.0. Unbelievable razor. Keep your, I know I'm well overdue for a shave, but has a built-in flashlight that helps you with your edging, waterproof in case you're running late. Gotta shave in the shower, waterproof, unbelievable technology. I love the Lawnmower 3.0. Great piece of technology over there from manscaped.com. All right, now that we got all the ad stuff out of the way, Sabres drop one tonight, 6-3. Not their best efforts, especially there in the first period, guys. Very, very lackluster. In that first period, they caught on their heels quite often. Victor Olofsson said it best, probably in the post game, that it was, they were just, playing hesitant. They were, backing into their own zone with the puck quite often. They were giving, free opportunities to the Rangers forwards. I mean, look at Zibanejad, pretty much close to a natural hat trick tonight. I don't think he had the natural. No, you didn't know. Kako had one in there in the first four. So, again, the players that you want to see score for the Rangers, they scored tonight. Zibanejad had 3. Zibanejad had 3. You had Kako with another, Lafreniere with 1. It wasn't the best effort in the first half of the game, but the Sabres kept themselves in the game tonight. Sam Reinhart continues to prove that he can be a play center for this team going forward. I think it'd be a huge mistake to put him back on the wing, especially when this team has lacked center depth, even before Ryan O'Reilly was here. So obviously we're joined by Ty B. How you doing, man? I know you were watching the game. What were your opinions?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at this game, it's a tale of two different teams right now. The Sabres, you're out here, you're playing, you got these young guys who want to make a name for themselves, but what do they really have to play for? It's just their pride. Whereas the Rangers are surging right now. They have a chance still to catch the Boston Bruins to get into that final playoff position. And if you look at the numbers, they have they're like plus 30 goal differential. Boston's only plus 18. The Rangers have scored like 33, 34 more goals than the Bruins all season long. I think the Rangers could do it. And if these young guys like Capo Kako can really figure things out going into the playoffs and into this stretch here, like they could get themselves into the playoffs. And if they do, they could be a very scary team, Duane.
Absolutely. And you know what? The Rangers, and they mentioned it during the broadcast, Zibanejad was a 40-goal scorer last season, and he's really caught fire the last month.
Think about when he got hot last year. Right before the COVID stop, like he was literally the hottest player in the league. Like 5-goal night, like he was going berserk, and he's doing it again here, right in the stretch. Like he's peaking at the right time for this team, and that hat trick, just goes to show where he is right now with his game.
Yeah, it's fun to watch players like him play him. Panarin, the bread man, always cooking there on the power play. The lack of production on the power play too. I know they've had goals in the last 2 games on the power play, but the lack of production on the power play just shows how much you miss a guy like Jack Eichel. That's why Victor Olofsson is as dangerous as he is on that far side, along the wall, because you have that threat of Jack Eichel on the opposite side. So who are you going to gravitate more? Eichel, one of the top players in the world, or possibly one of the best power play players in the game right now in Victor Olofsson, one of the most deadly shots in the game. That's why Victor was so dangerous, last year. Because you had the threat of Eichel on that upside. Now that you don't, players tend to gravitate more to him. It just kind of sucks, But again, it's like you said, it's the tale of two teams. You have a team that's really pushing hard for a playoff spot right now, and a team, again, that doesn't have much to play for, but it has been fun to watch. I've had a lot of fun watching this team since Granato's taken over, and Donnie Meatballs is really making it hard for the Bakulas not to hire him as the next head coach.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing, is like he's continuing to make his case, because the team, even when they get behind and things like that, they're not completely out of games. They still continue to show some energy, some heart, some push. Whatever word you want to use, they're just not dead. And under Ralph Kruger, they'd let up a goal or two early and they were absolutely lost, or they'd play a period or two well and then
they give up on themselves.
They'd be gone. And we're seeing a more complete game. It's not necessarily the best every 60 minutes, but the effort at least is there.
Absolutely, and it's just
an improvement too. We're not seeing the same mistakes made over and over again.
No, and the biggest difference, and I've said this a few times, between Granato and Ralph Kruger is just the fact that once they get down early, you could just see it in their body language and just the way how timid they look out there, that they're out of it. The game's over. Like, it could only be 2-0 under for Ralph Kruger, and you could tell it's like there is no way this team is fighting back into this game. There was just no possible way. Yeah. And I think tonight too, I think goaltending killed you a little bit. Tokarski gave him a real a muffin. I think it's the third goal by Zibanejad came in wide. He was on his post. He just snuck it in.
The quote right now from Don Granato. I just got the reading in the tweet. He's live with his press conference right now.
Right now too.
Yeah, he put a lot of thought into making the move when he took out Tokarski with some consultation with the goaltender coach. So they must have saw something in his game being off today, which it happens, once in a while. It's a big mental game like we talk about all the time, Duane.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you might just not be there fully, or you're just a step behind. And sometimes it's better to take him out than to subject him to just getting lit up, because then it's going to destroy his confidence even worse, possibly.
Yeah, and you know what? I hope. I obviously I don't think we'll see Dustin Tokarski on this team next year as a backup goaltender. No way. If Kevin Adams is going to do his job, he's not going to bring back Dustin Tokarski to be your backup. But I do hope that in this last stretch of games that he plays well enough to possibly get a look at from another team. I'm not sure what his contract looks like, if it was just this one season.
It was probably a 1 or 2 year deal.
Yeah, I think it was. I want to say it was just this season. Maybe somebody in the comments, or somebody that's watching along can get us that information real quick. But it's, I hope he plays well enough to get looked at by our team, because it was a nice story this season. And the thing with his dad back, him getting his first win with Buffalo. Yeah. It was the first win since his dad passed away, and that was a really nice moment for him.
Long time between NHL starts and everything.
Yep. And yeah, I definitely just wish the best for the guy. He seems like, he's a really good locker room guy. He's a good teammate. Every time people talk about him on the team, any guy always has good things to say about him. So I hope he, gets a look at from another team, at least a minor league contract somewhere, that his career isn't over here after Buffalo. But that is something they need to address, again, going on to another year. Oh, so Tokarski's probably going to be your AHL goalie next season. He's going to be in Rochester. So that makes me happy, at least that, he'll have another opportunity in Rochester next season to keep his career going. But that, again, going back, this has been an ongoing issue with this franchise. You have to address that backup position, whether you do it in free agency or trade. I don't think UPL, I'm not comfortable putting him in that position, not quite yet.
No, his numbers aren't there.
No, they're not. Granted,
it's been bad in Rochester. There's no holding it. He's had an 888 save percentage this year.
Don't make that mistake. Do not make that mistake the next season. I doubt there'll be a situation where you'll have him on a taxi squad. I can't see the taxi squad being a thing next season. So with that being said, just leave him in Rochester and find a veteran guy, a guy like a Brian Elliott, a guy who's dominated Buffalo for most of all of his career. a guy like Brian Elliott who can really sit behind Linus Ullmark. We don't even know if Linus Ullmark's going to be a Sabre next year. We really don't even know that. So we may need a starting and a backup goalie for all.
Duane, don't even get me started on that. There's a
Yeah,
lot.
I know. But those are things that need to be addressed, and that should be priority number 1 and 2 this offseason for Kevin Adams, figuring that out.
That's
my God!
That's why, I don't want to leave him up here, putting too much onto him too early, or even doing that in Rochester. That's why it's a good thing having Tokarski where he can still split, because UPL's numbers are just not living up to what they need to be a professional goalie. I mean, he did all right in the ECHL, but ever since he's come off that injury, obviously it takes a while. It's not an easy thing to come back from. And is it slowing his movement that much, or is he just having some other issues, or what have you? But you don't want to put the full pressure of being this team's NHL goalie right now.
No, absolutely not. It's
even the backup next year.
I just don't. I don't want to rush. Everybody knows, who follows this game as much as I do, just knows that the two positions that take the longest to develop are goaltending and defenseman. You can take a Jack Quinn and throw him into the NHL maybe a little bit earlier than need be, and he'll be able to find his way quicker than a goaltender. Or maybe you don't want to ruin a goalie's confidence at the age of a guy like UPL. This early in his career, because there's a good chance he might not get that swagger back. And I just don't want to put him in that position. I want to let him sit and simmer in Rochester for at least one more season. Let him do what you did with Ryan Miller, because Ryan Miller didn't come into the league until I think he was like 25 or 26 years old. And the guy came in and was impactful almost immediately. He came in as a starting role, had a guy like Marty Baran as the backup.
Yeah.
And it was just a great 1-2 punch for Buffalo for the longest time until you traded Marty to Philly at the deadline. You got to go find those guys available. You had the opportunity this past offseason of free agency, and you didn't address it, which I think Kevin Adams is really kicking himself for. But you really have to address that this offseason.
Yeah, and I think great point here from Sabres Lover. Same thing with Matthias Samuelsson. We're seeing the flashes. He looks, pretty decent, but being able to play, a full 82-game season up here, he's still not there. He's making those mistakes at times, and to have that pressure on him right now after, I think this is his first actual season in Rochester, full season, because of COVID and everything. So
yep.
Obviously it's a big adjustment, and it was probably an earlier call up than he maybe even expected.
Yeah, I don't even think he expected it, to be honest with you.
Injuries and everything else. I'd rather them bring up Matthias Samuelsson, let him at least see a few games up here, though, than some of the other retread names. So I think it's nice to see them playing the young guys. And I think, everyone was hoping maybe Jack Quinn would get a few games, but obviously he's being shut.
The hernia surgery, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that even Jacob Bryson, I don't know if he was really expecting to get the call up this early in his career, but again, he hasn't played terrible, even though he tried to throw that puck up the middle of the ice in the second period and almost gave up a goal. I think it might have been right to Zibanejad. I'm not sure. It was Zibanejad or it was Lafreniere threw the puck from number one rule of defenseman: never ice the puck up the middle from behind your own net. Throws a muffin right up, a beach ball right up the middle of the ice from behind the net. Caught, tipped by, I think, Lafreniere, went off to Karski's glove and out of play. But, these young kids, they've come in and they've performed well. And, it makes my hopes high for the future for the way this core of young players is performing right now in a very tough situation. And, again, you don't have Eichel. I know McCabe's a UFA, but I really do believe that McCabe is a guy who takes his leadership role with this team. He takes a lot of pride in that. He takes pride in wearing a letter. I think McCabe will be back. And I think this might be the offseason too, Ty, where you could see a Ristolainen getting traded, especially with the expansion draft looming. And you saw the kind of deals that went down with Vegas, trades being made to protect certain players or maybe to take on bad contracts. Could this be the season where you do see Ristolainen get traded?
I mean, I think it should be. I mean, we've seen enough to know that he's not a good defenseman. You can't make that argument that he's good. it seems like it was Jake McCabe that was improving his numbers because he's been absolutely awful since he hasn't been with McCabe.
Yep.
And, if you can get another team to take him for the amount of money he's being paid, you do that because you can fulfill his role with guys with cheaper contracts to perform just as well, if not better.
I agree. And again, you're coming into another offseason of free agency where you're going to see similar contracts being signed to the last free agency, where you're going to see talented players take less money because that's just the world right now and the sport they're playing, and where, big contracts probably aren't going to be handed out in free agency because the league made no money this year, essentially. Like they lost a ton of money. So there isn't going to be the opportunity for teams to be handing out huge contracts. They're going to be trying to stay under the cap. So, if you blueprint what Florida did this offseason, sign talented players on 1 to 2 year deals. Like, again, I keep saying their names, Carter Verhaeghe and Anthony Duclair. Cumulatively, they make $2.7 million this season, which is bananas to me. If you make moves like that, you give these young kids time to develop more, and you bring in some veterans that they can kind of learn from on and off the ice, and you give them more time to develop, and you're not rushing them and putting them in situations that they might not be ready for, and that's just going to help their game. And I'm not going to sit here and say the Sabres are going to be fighting for a playoff spot next season, but I think the overall consensus of this team is 5 years away. I don't think so. I think if Jack Eichel is back, which I don't see why he wouldn't be, and you keep Sam Reinhart at center, and you're looking at some insanely good center ice depth, something they haven't had since the days of Briere and Drury. And that is possibly, in my opinion, the most crucial thing to address outside of goaltending on any team is make sure you have depth down the middle. And that next season, again, if you decide to keep Sam at center, which Granato has hinted at that, you could be looking at some of the best center ice depth this team has seen in years.
Yep, absolutely. We got Buffalo Sabres. What do you think about a Dahlin contract? This is going to be interesting because it depends if you're looking at linking him up on a long-term deal. I don't know if they're ready to give him that. I think you probably give him a year or two bridge, and then you're looking to give him that long-term one. I don't know if he's really earned that big ticket yet. Not in my mind. I think it comes in, maybe 1-2 years around $4.5-5 million, and then you go from there.
I personally, I don't know if Dahlin's camp would want only a 1 or 2 year deal. I mean, I'm not going to speak for the guy, but
if you're going long term though, you're not getting at Dahlin's output. You're not getting more than 7 or 8 million. You shouldn't, at least.
I'd be willing to pay him. I mean, if he seems like the type of kid. Yeah, you're motivated by money. Again, I don't know the kid. I don't know his agent. He seems like the type of kid that loyalty might mean something to him. I remember a lot of his rhetoric early on, as an 18, 19-year-old. I know a lot of people crack jokes, and I was like, I wouldn't want to play. I'd play anywhere but Toronto. He took the whole Buffalo Toronto thing pretty seriously.
Yeah.
He seems like the type of kid where money isn't, the motivator for everything. He wants to win. Not saying that Buffalo is the place that wants to win, but I think that, again, loyalty might mean something to him. And I think he would take, and his agent would say yes to maybe a 6 year deal, maybe worth 7 or 8 million. And I would say yes to that too in a heartbeat.
If you can get him for that.
Hey, remember Nathan McKinnon's contract? I thought he was worth a hell of a lot more than what he signed.
Yeah, for. That's the thing is, if they're willing to take a long-term deal for that amount now, I think you probably do it, betting on Dahlin to continue to progress and play the way he has under Granato, as opposed to Ralph Kruger. But if you're just basing it off of his performance thus far, he's not worth that much.
You're predicting that he will be, though.
Yeah.
Because I think he will be. I think, once the short leash.
I haven't soured on him, but it's just when the numbers aren't there, they're going to come to that, come to the table and show you the numbers. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can also show his camp can also show you the numbers of guys like Victor Hedman, their first 5 years in the league, and say, well, you can say that all you want, but Victor Hedman is one of the best NHL defenders.
You say we'll pay you the bridge just like Hedman got.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I'm not disagreeing. I just think if you're Kevin Adams and if you have an opportunity to lock a guy up and his camp is willing to agree to something like that, and you can get him at a anywhere a $6 million deal, 6 to 7 for 6 years, I think you sign that in a heartbeat because I think he'll be absolutely worth every penny 3 years from now.
Yeah, you never know how it's going to play out, Duane. Like that's the thing, and like I'm excited to see it because it's really gonna set sort of the path of what you can do long term now that you have your cornerstone center and potentially the cornerstone defenseman locked up for long term.
Mhm.
We'll see what they do.
Yeah, he's also got incredible chemistry with Yoki Harju. That could be a factor. I agree. Joker definitely does drive me nuts sometimes, but the chemistry he does have with Dahlin seems to be working. That could be like a pairing you see long term here down the road. Agree with that. So, I got nothing left. That's just a game that
I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah, I'll hang up and listen. It was a team that was hungrier. Now, I don't want to say hungrier than us. They just have something to play for, and they're more talented. They just are. You have a couple.
I just said this to Dom. They quickly passed us on their rebuild.
Yeah.
They're like,
getting gifted Alexei Lafreniere for no reason as when they won the draft lottery. When they think they were they made the play-in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Getting gifted Lafreniere at the draft lottery, that helped a lot too. So
it doesn't hurt.
No, definitely didn't hurt.
All that great either. So.
Huh?
He hasn't been all that great either.
No, he hasn't. That's another thing I was seeing myself watching this game. He was hyped up a lot going into that draft. He was hyped up to be the next, the best player to go first overall since McDavid. Where are those comparisons? Because he does not look like. I'm not saying he's not going to be a good hockey player. I think he will be great. But he was being called generational coming into that draft. I'm just like, I don't see it. I just don't. McDavid, both McDavid and Eichel, in their own respects, when they both came into the league, man, they were an immediate impact. Like they were affecting their team positively almost immediately. Whereas Lafreniere, it took him 8 or 9 games to score his first goal in the NHL, and he hasn't. I mean, his game has gotten better.
He's got a handful of goals all year.
Yeah, same with Capo Caco. He hasn't been the player that in the position that was drafted at. So Adam Fox is the MVP of that team. I don't care what anybody says. That if there's any player on that team I'm jealous of, it's absolutely Fox.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's what I just told him too. I'm like, the one thing they need is get another pillar to just get out there to put by Fox. Get a veteran that you can put on his side so you can let Fox skate and be a dynamic defenseman the way he is. And it's going to be scary.
I think Alexei Lafreniere is a good example of they should have did with him what Vancouver did with Hughes and just not brought him up right away, especially in a season like this. I don't always agree with if you're taking first or second overall that you have to come into the NHL right away.
Yeah,
there was nothing wrong with him staying back in junior and play maybe for Team Canada one more time. Just let him continue to develop. What was the rush this season? And I think in the long term it might affect him in his overall development because I just don't see what you benefited out of Lafreniere playing this season with the Rangers.
No, absolutely. And I think, part of it might have just been the question marks about what's happening with junior hockey and not playing a season and all that, but it is what it is.
No, I agree. I mean, you are right. I mean, again, there was not much, no junior hockey this year.
Look, OHL this year.
No OHL. But I mean, look what Buffalo's done with Jack Quinn. I mean, there's no reason for him to be playing in the NHL.
Q, that's the thing is the Q I think played, but it's all limited. It's real weird. And weren't they eliminating chucking? I don't know. That was supposed to happen in the OHL too. There was something going to be mandated by the country itself that they were trying to eliminate all checking out of junior hockey, which is just absurd if you ask me. It's always been who's gonna want to watch that? You're watching roller hockey essentially. Then at that point, you might as well just do a 4-on-4 and play roller hockey. Yeah. What are you scouting?
Yeah, exactly. But look again, Quentin Byfield. Quentin Byfield wasn't rushed into a position. He was, again, he was projected to be this for a while there. Quentin Byfield was projected to go first overall until Lafreniere really turned it on. And they didn't rush him into a position he wasn't ready for. And I was a big Quentin Byfield fan for most of the time until he was I personally thought he should have gone. I don't think he went second overall, did he? I think he fell a few spots.
Yeah.
So
third or fourth.
Yeah, something like that. But anyways, that's all I got. I'll hang up and listen, guys, from me and Ty B. Brought to you again by Outlet Liquor. Don't haste. Go pick up a case. I think, is that the saying? I don't know. Is that the saying? Don't haste. Go pick up a case. Or did I just make that up?
The place to buy a case.
Oh, the place to buy a case. Don't haste. Go pick up a case. I'm just, dude, they just might as well hire me. I don't care. And of course, Amherst Ale House. Make sure you go, for all Sabres games, half off pitchers and medium pepperoni pizzas. Amherst Ale House has unbelievable food. We will hang up and listen. For me and Ty B, let's go Sabres.